Hey guys, this is Lala Legacy and welcome back to another episode of SeaBed. So, let's jump right back in. I could hear the flow of a river beside me. It was sometimes interrupted by the rocks in its stream, knocking together. Aww. The sky turns orange as the sun goes down. Takako, walking a few steps in front of me, on our way back from the rental store, was singing a tune. It wasn't exactly orange though. It was more like that time during dusk when you could barely make out the faces of people walking on the other side of the street. Let's go home together with the crows. I think you're forgetting the lyrics. Huh? It was an old song, long since banished to the cobwebbed corners of our minds. I was pretty sure I hadn't heard her sing it since kindergarten. She made another attempt. Let's go home together with the crows. It's still the same. Huh? She started mumbling again. Listening to her humming, I tried recalling how she used to sing that song. Takako kept shaking her shoulders in tune with the song, her ponytail dancing with every motion. The bells at the mountain temple ring. Let's go home with our hands joined together. I don't know actually the tune. I used to know the song, but I don't remember it anymore. Let's go home along with the crows. Takako turned to me and smiled. Yeah, that's how it went. Walking ahead of me, she began her song again. I tried to join her in a small voice, as embarrassing as it was. The sky turns orange as the sun goes down. The bells at the mountain temple ring. Let's go home with our hands joined together. Let's go home along with the crows. I was glad it was actually dusk. Dusk, the time when it was too dark to see anyone's faces. Or anyone's face, sorry. It was the time of day when one had to question who anyone was. I slipped into the clothes I prepared for myself last night and left the room. Sunlight filtered in through the east-facing windows of the corridor. The window frames and the branches of the oak tree both cast a shadow on the red carpet. Red carpet? I didn't see a red carpet. Good morning. Upon opening the door to the cafeteria, I noticed Nanai standing behind the counter. She looked at me over her shoulder, her tied-up hair drifting across the air in sync with the motions of her head. She looks like Takako. Morning! Oh, whoops. Morning. You want something to eat? Some bread and coffee if possible. Roger that. I picked out the seat closest to direct sunlight. It was warm to the touch. Though I'd already heard them back when I was combing my hair in my room. The sound of chirping birds outside was even louder here. I glanced out the window and saw a group of Japanese white eyes assembled around a puddle of water, surrounded by fallen leaves. It had accumulated below one of the oak's branches. Another bird jumped down from a taller branch and stared straight into the water. Sorry, I am having such a hard time reading right now. As I observed its little wings splashing around in the puddle, the fragrance of coffee reached my nose. You're not used to seeing white eyes? Nanai placed a cup of coffee in front of me. It had a black exterior and a yellow interior. For a short while, I observed the little white bubbles above the black surface accumulating near the edge of the cup. Thank you. I'd often see them up in the trees back when I still lived in the countryside, but they're a rarer sight where I live now. Seeing them here made me feel a little nostalgic. Well, they show up quite frequently around here. Nanai sat down in front of me and picked up her cup, a streak of steam rising from the hot liquid. liquid. I could see her smile beyond that misty veil. She appeared excited. You seem to be in good spirits. Did something happen? I trailed my finger along the corner of my lips. Yeah, I learned how to make some extra special coffee from a cafe in town, and it turned out really well today. Is it drip coffee? Yeah, it's a special way that minimizes the brewing time too. Nanai drew her cup to her upper lip, and after savoring the smell for a while, took a sip. Yeah, it's pretty good if I do say so myself. Oh, whoops. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty good if I do say so myself. I'd say mine can pretty much give that cafe a run for its money at this point. Nanai took another sip, letting the corner of her lips curl up again. I grabbed my own cup, enjoying its warmth. The actual taste was a bit more bitter than what I usually preferred in coffee, but it was still pretty good. You have to do the dripping at calculated intervals to make it strong. Like this! She began twisting her right wrist in the air. Meanwhile, she pushed the plate with the little bottles of sugar and cream closer to me with her left hand. I picked up the cream bottle and added some to my coffee, making a white marble-like pattern appear on the surface of the liquid. I stuck my spoon into it and stirred until it disappeared. As I observed Nanai's gestures, I spotted the girl from yesterday passing through the stone-laden path beyond the window. She had appeared from the east side of the building and soon disappeared beyond the west. What are you looking at over there? Nanai turned her head around to look at the garden. I was just spacing out. Nanai turned back to me and, slightly leaning her head forward, took another sip from her cup. I watched her twin tails flutter around her shoulders. She looked upward, her gaze meeting mine. Does it look weird? She traced a hand along her hair. No, I think it suits you. You like twin tails. I can keep it like this tomorrow as well if you want. Someone I know used to wear her hair like that. Oh, I see. You look really similar to her from behind, so I got startled a bit. She finished her contents of her cup and placed it on the saucer with a barely audible clang. Nanai stared into the bottom of her cup for a few moments before finally looking up at me. Is something wrong? She must have been important to you. As I gave her a puzzled look, Nanai explained that she never really thought too deeply about individual hairstyles, nor did she associate them with specific people. I see. Well, yeah, she was very important to Sachiko. The sound of clanging dishes dominated the room. Nanai hummed a song as she washed the dishes behind the counter. I asked if I could help and was refused. With nothing to do but listen to the monotone sounds in my seat, I felt drowsiness overcome me. I shifted my gaze to the pictures on the walls. One of them showed Nanai's aunt smiling under an oak tree. Another had a girl struggling with the bucket handle on the well. In the third, there were a group of men wearing work uniforms in front of a massive modern-looking mansion. My eyes paused on that picture. The entrance to that mansion looked awfully familiar. Oh, this? Nanai, who seemed to have returned while I was busy inspecting the pictures, pointed at the one I'd been looking at. That's an old photograph of this place, she remarked as she sat down in her seat. I turned toward her. There was a streak of sunlight right where she sat down, making Nanai narrow her eyes. The weather is nice today. Oh, right. Tell me if you decide to take a nap. I'll change the sheets in your room. Thank you. But I'm not planning to, so feel free to change them whenever you want. There seem to be a lot of people in that picture. What's the story behind it? I returned my gaze to the photographs on the wall. Oh, it's a group of all the employees from when this place opened. Apparently, the original plan was to take a picture of the mansion after they restored it, but photographs were rare in those times, so everyone came to see how it all worked, and eventually ended up taking a group picture. This is me, by the way. Nanai pointed at a beautiful woman in a kimono sitting on a stool. The baby in her arms was looking straight at us. Nanai sounded a laugh when I told her she looked cute. Well, all children are. It's okay. I can still see the resemblance. Thanks. I'll take that as a compliment. She made a mischievous smile. Aww. I returned my eyes to the picture. That's your mother holding you, right? Yup, we look alike, don't we? To tell the truth, the current Nanai looked more like the woman in the kimono than the baby in her arms. Still, despite the resemblance in their features, there was a completely different air about them. The kimono-clad woman had an expressionless face, reminding me more of a doll than a human being. It felt as though she was gazing into empty space rather than a camera. Everyone else in the picture was flashing broad smiles, making her somewhat gloomy demeanor stand out quite a bit. What are you looking at? Nanai's voice jerked me back to reality. Everyone looks pretty happy in this picture. Nanai directed her gaze to the photograph. Yeah, I think the economy was on the rise back then, so that could be the reason. When you start thinking like that, is it a sign of age? She made a bitter face. Oh, come on. You still look young. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. A smile returned to Nanai's face. The woman holding a baby in her arms looked at us through narrowed eyes. Everyone around her looked like they were having the time of their life. Even without colors, I could tell the picture was taken on a sunny afternoon. They probably broke into lively chatter as soon as the photo session was over. It's a good picture. My eyes stopped on a woman wearing a cook's uniform. She looks like the person I saw in the library. Yeah, that's my auntie. She works here now. You've got quite the keen eye. I could see the resemblance, though in this picture she was still a young woman. She wore a light-colored apron with frills over a dark undershirt. Was she the cook? Yes, she was our chef, in fact. And you already know how darn good she is. She spent a long time training overseas in her younger days, from Spain to Italy and China. Just give her the ingredients and she'll fix you anything. Here, look at those pictures. Further down, there were a couple of pictures obviously taken overseas. An even younger version of Nanai's aunt was standing near a western-looking storefront. The place's metal signboard sported a relief in the shape of a fish, as well as the phrase "Lost Gas" spelled out on it. The whole thing had a very restaurant-like feel to it. In another picture, she was eating something that looked like a kiwi in front of a pair of massive castle gates. That's impressive. But then why did she come back? My mother recruited her when she found this inn. They were childhood friends as far as I know. I see. Owning a mansion and running it as an inn was an old dream of theirs. My mother saved up the money while my auntie perfected her cooking skills. When I was little, she talked my ears off about how many challenges and hurdles she had to overcome. They must have been good memories. Yeah, I can tell. She always smiles while talking about the past, even though I've already heard her stories a million times over. Nanai gazed into the distance, her mind seemingly returning to the past. There are no pictures of you? There should be one from when I was still a kid. Nanai looked around, searching for the picture in question. Ah, here it is! The photo showed a young Nanai with her hair cut short, standing atop the oversized root of some large tree. She was holding an insect net high above her head while carrying a basket filled with all the critters she caught. You seem to have grown into quite an energetic child. It's quite embarrassing now that I look at it. You like insects? I might have in the past. I liked how the drone beetles sparkled in the sun and found the wings of butterflies really pretty. I was reading Fabre's Souvenirs Entomologiques at the time, which only added more fuel to the fire. To be honest, I liked all animals from birds to fish. Well, you know how kids are. They tend to be fascinated by anything that moves. I never liked insects much. What did you play with when you were a child? Dolls. Alone? At first, yeah. I might have ventured outside more, had I been living at a nice place like this. The young Nanai, surrounded by trees, bushes, and all sorts of other greenery, almost like she was in the middle of some uncharted, untamed forest. Near the ancient moss-covered trees, coiled roots thick enough to be mistaken for trees themselves, forming a natural maze worthy of exploring. Each layer of the mountain terrain, resembling a naturally formed, falling water house, was filled to the brim with crystal clear water. Oh, that's right! There are hot springs near that place. Want to check them out one of these days? Sounds like a good idea. It's a promise, then. Nanai, leaning against the table with her elbow, stuck out her pinky towards me. That brings back memories. I lifted my hand from my knees, entwining my pinky with hers. If I break this promise, I will swallow 1,000 needles. If I break this promise, I will swallow 1,000 needles. And our fingers are cut, and our promise is sealed. Huh? Eh? At the same time, the clock from the lobby began chiming the hour. Oh, I didn't realize it was so late. You have work to do. Yeah. You planning to be here for a while? I don't really have any plans. I guess I'll stay here for now. I see. Feel free to take anything that's behind the counter if you ever get thirsty. Thanks. Good luck with work. Nanai gave me a small nod and left the room. Oh, hi! A gust of wind found its way into the room, making Narasaki's hair flutter as she stared down at the chessboard. The afternoon sky was colored in a pale grayish hue. I could see dense clouds drifting our way from beyond the mountains. It's gotten pretty cold. Can I close the window? Go ahead! Narasaki answered without looking away from the board, keeping her palm on her chin. The final breeze that snuck inside as I was closing the window made a high-pitched flute-like sound due to the passage of entry getting narrower, but ceased the moment I finished. I latched the window and returned to the table to meet Narasaki's gaze. It's your turn, she declared. I reached out to the queen and took her pawn without sitting down. The board let out a pleasant clang as I placed my piece on its surface. I sat down, crossed my legs, and once again picked up the book I'd been reading. The board and the pieces Narasaki brought with her were smaller than usual and were made of glass. The two opposing sides, rather than being black and white, were crafted from transparent and opaque glass. But that is all the time that I have for this episode, guys. So if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already subscribed, by subscribing you're becoming part of a legacy. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!